Single dad CEO sends his daughter to a music camp by mistake and finds a woman who strikes a chord in his heart. Stephen Walker double-checked the address as he pulled his sleek black SUV up to the sidewalk. He glanced at the building with a puzzled frown. Instead of a modern, tech-savvy learning center as he expected, a charming brick storefront greeted him, its windows painted with colorful notes and musical instruments. Above the door, a hand-painted sign read, "Creative Piano and Expression for Kids." This cannot be right. From the passenger seat, his 10-year-old daughter Lily peeked out with wide eyes. "This looks fun, Dad. Is this really where I'm taking the advanced coding class?" "No," Stephen muttered, already opening his phone. "It is not. There must be a mistake." He scrolled rapidly through the email confirmation. He had signed her up for a weekend enrichment course, something meant to boost her resume, develop critical thinking, prepare her for a world driven by logic and results. Advanced skills for gifted children, it had said, not this. They entered the building, and instantly soft notes from a distant piano floated through the hallway. Posters of Beethoven and Bach adorned the walls, and the air smelled faintly of old wood and lavender. At the front desk stood a woman in her early 30s, auburn hair in a loose braid, dressed casually but with a warm, confident air. She looked up and smiled as they approached. "You must be Lily," she said cheerfully. "We're so excited to have you join the class." "I think there's been a mistake," Stephen interrupted. "I enrolled her in an academic enrichment course, not a music class." The woman's smile didn't falter, but her brows drew together with curiosity. "I'm Olivia Harper, director of this program. Let me double-check." She tapped quickly on a tablet behind the desk, then turned the screen toward him. "According to the registration, she signed up for our creative piano and expression class. Saturday mornings 10 to noon, Stephen stared. "This isn't what I registered for." "It's a common mix-up," Olivia offered gently. "We have a similar code to another course in the same district. It happens sometimes." "Well, it's not acceptable," Stephen snapped. "I took time off for this. She's supposed to be in a skill-building class, not playing songs on a keyboard." Lily tugged at his jacket. "But Dad, can I try it? Just for today. It looks fun." Stephen turned to his daughter. He was already craning her neck to see the music room beyond the door, where other children her age were laughing, tapping on colorful keys or showing off stickers on their music books. He sighed, clearly agitated. "You're supposed to be preparing for real challenges, not, 'I just want to try,'" she said again, softer this time. Olivia leaned forward. "I understand your concern, Mr. Walker, but we take our curriculum seriously. This class isn't just about making noise. It teaches memory, discipline, creativity, and confidence. And sometimes children discover parts of themselves we didn't even know were waiting." Stephen exhaled slowly. His mind was already on his next board meeting, his inbox, the report he hadn't finished. "Fine," he said, glancing at his watch. "Home class." "That's it?" Lily beamed. "But don't get her hopes up," he added, fixing Olivia with a pointed look. "Please, don't fill her head with fairy tales. She doesn't need another distraction." Olivia gave a small nod. "Of course. Let's just see how she feels after today." Stephen turned and left the building, pulling his phone out before he was even past the door. Inside the classroom, Lily was welcomed by the other kids. Olivia knelt beside her, showing her the keys, helping her sit at a small upright piano. Lily looked uncertain for a moment, then smiled as she tapped a few notes. An hour passed. When Stephen returned, the sound of laughter and piano chords greeted him again. He stepped inside just in time to hear a group performance of a simple melody, and there, in the front row, was Lily, hands moving carefully over the keys, tongue poking slightly from the corner of her mouth in concentration. When she finished, she turned and saw him. Her face lit up. "Dad, did you hear it?" He walked closer, unsure what to say. "I did. Miss Olivia helped me play with both hands. I didn't think I could do that." "She did great," Olivia added, joining them with a clipboard. "She's a natural listener. That's rare." Lily turned to him, eyes wide with hope. "Can I come back next week, just for a few more classes?" Stephen hesitated. This wasn't what he had planned. But as he looked down at her, bright eyes, flushed cheeks, a spark of something he hadn't seen in a long time, he exhaled. "All right," he said. "A few more sessions." Lily hugged him tight. Olivia smiled as they turned to leave. "Thank you for giving her the chance." Stephen paused at the door, looking back. "I'm giving her a trial," he said, "not a fantasy." "Sometimes," Olivia said gently, "fantasies are just truths we haven't accepted yet." He said nothing, only nodded once and followed his daughter out into the sunlit street, unaware that the music Lily had just discovered would soon echo in his own life in ways he never imagined. Tuesday afternoons became a new routine. For the first few sessions, Stephen sat in the car with his laptop propped on his knees, eyes darting between spreadsheets and meeting notes. He told himself it was just temporary. He would let Lily attend a few lessons, see the joy wear off, and then steer her back to something more useful. But by the third week, something shifted. He began lingering at the door. It started as idle curiosity. He had time to kill anyway. Through the small window into the studio, he could see the children seated at small upright pianos, their fingers moving hesitantly, their faces a mixture of confusion and wonder. And then there was Lily. She sat straighter than the rest. Her fingers were more tentative, but her eyes were alight with something he could not quite name. Olivia often moved through the room like a quiet current, gentle, guiding, never overbearing. She stopped beside Lily often, nodding in encouragement, tapping a rhythm gently on the side of the piano to help her keep tempo. One afternoon, as the sun slanted in through the windows and lit the dust motes like stars, Olivia appeared beside Stephen in the hallway. He had not noticed her leave the classroom. "You could come in, you know," she said with a smile. "She would love that." Stephen hesitated. "I do not want to interrupt." "You are not interrupting. You are part of her audience." He looked past her, at Lily's hunched back, the slight movement of her shoulders as she played. "I do not know anything about music," he said quietly. "You do not have to. Just listen." So he followed Olivia in, sitting in the back of the room on a low bench, feeling oddly out of place in his tailored jacket and pressed shirt among the bright posters and the small, joyful chaos of children. But then Lily turned and saw him, and her face lit up like morning. That moment stayed with him. Over the next few weeks, he began watching more than just Lily. He noticed how Olivia taught, never harsh, always patient. She knew exactly when to speak and when to let the child struggle a little on their own. She treated each student like they were capable of more than they believed, and somehow they rose to meet her. One day she sat beside Stephen after class while Lily packed up her books. "She has an ear," Olivia said. "A rare one. She feels the music before she even understands it." Stephen looked down at his hands. "Her mother played. She was a pianist, classical mostly. I think Lily heard her practicing in the mornings before school." Olivia's voice softened. "She must be proud, wherever she is." Stephen nodded, not trusting himself to speak. The breakthrough came 2 weeks later. It was just a small recital, each child playing the piece they had been practicing for the past month. Parents lined the room, murmuring softly, phones in hand. Lily sat at the piano, her legs barely reaching the pedals. Olivia introduced her simply. "This is Lily Walker. She will be playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star with her own little twist." There was laughter, then silence. Lily placed her fingers on the keys. For a moment the room was so quiet Stephen could hear his own heartbeat, and then she played. It was simple, but something in the way she pressed the keys, the pauses, the hesitation, the swelling of volume near the end, it held something more than melody. It held emotion. As the final note faded, the room erupted in applause. Lily turned, searching for him. When she saw Stephen, she beamed. He stood there, hands frozen mid-clap, his chest tightening. He was not thinking of stock prices or board meetings. He was thinking of Rachel, his late wife, how she used to play in the evenings, how Lily would curl beside her on the bench, watching her mother's fingers move like water over the keys. He blinked, and for a moment it was as if Rachel was there again, through Lily's hands. After the recital, Olivia came over. "She was brilliant," she said quietly. Stephen nodded slowly. "She reminded me of her mother tonight." "I thought so," Olivia said, not asking more, just standing with him as the room slowly emptied. Outside, the evening breeze was cool. Lily skipped ahead on the sidewalk, humming the tune she had just played. Stephen watched her, a small, wistful smile on his lips, and he thought, maybe music was not a distraction after all. Maybe it was a way back. It started with a simple thank you. After Lily's second recital, Stephen lingered longer than usual. Olivia was closing up the music room, gently stacking sheet music and turning off the lamps. He hovered near the door, hands in his pockets, until she looked up and smiled. "You do not have to wait every time," she said, brushing a curl of hair from her cheek. "She is safe with me, you know." "I know," Stephen replied, "but it gives me an excuse to slow down." Olivia chuckled softly. "That might be the first time I have heard a CEO say that." Stephen gave a faint smile. "It might be the first time I have ever meant it." That evening, they talked outside under the amber glow of the studio lights. Lily sat in the back seat, humming softly to herself, flipping through her music book. Olivia leaned against the railing. Stephen stood beside her, both watching the city breathe around them. "I grew up just a few blocks from here," Olivia said quietly. "We did not have much. My mom worked double shifts as a cleaner. She loved music, but never had time to pursue it." Stephen listened, silent. "When I was 8, she passed away, pneumonia. Quick, I ended up bouncing between relatives, schools, houses. But there was this little piano in my aunt's garage. I taught myself on it. It was out of tune, some keys stuck, but I played it like it was a Steinway." He glanced at her. "And now you teach?" She nodded. "Now I teach." There was a pause. Not awkward, just full. "You?" she asked. "You said Lily's mother was a pianist?" "Yes," Stephen answered. "Rachel. She was brilliant, but she was also fragile. After Lily was born, she struggled with postpartum depression. She got better for a while, then a car accident. I am sorry. I think Lily barely remembers her, but every time she touches those keys, I see Rachel in her." Olivia's voice was gentle. "That must be hard." "It is, and being her father, sometimes I feel like I am failing at every turn. I know how to lead teams, pitch to investors, negotiate contracts, but I do not know how to talk to a 10-year-old about feelings or fear or loss." "Maybe you do not need to talk," Olivia said. "Maybe you just need to listen. That is what music taught me. It is not always about saying the right thing. It is about being there for the silence, too." Stephen looked at her then, really looked, and something in her eyes made his breath catch. In the weeks that followed, their conversations deepened. Sometimes it was after class, sometimes it was over quick coffee when Stephen happened to finish work early. Olivia told him about her dreams of opening a community music center for low-income families. Stephen shared stories of boardroom chaos and trying to juggle school pickups with global strategy calls. They became something like friends. A strange kind of honesty grew between them, one unfiltered by roles or expectations. Meanwhile, Lily blossomed. She practiced every evening without being asked. Her fingers moved with more confidence. Her eyes lit up when she played. Olivia noticed it too, so one Friday afternoon she approached Stephen with a flyer. "It is a small community event at Ridgeview Bookstore," she said. "They host monthly tiny performers nights. It is casual, but I think Lily's ready. She could use a little stage, just for fun." Stephen looked hesitant. "She has not been playing that long." "I know, but it is not about perfection. It is about sharing joy," he agreed. The night of the event, the bookstore buzzed with quiet excitement. Children in oversized dress shoes sat beside nervous parents. A small upright piano had been placed near the poetry section, its wooden surface gleaming under warm string lights. Lily wore a simple navy dress and a yellow ribbon in her hair. Olivia sat with her backstage, whispering encouragement, while Stephen stood near the back, arms crossed tightly, hiding the storm inside him. When her name was called, Lily stepped up to the piano. She glanced at Olivia, then at her father. Stephen gave her a tiny nod. She played, It was not flawless. A wrong note here, a pause there, but it was hers, soft, expressive, full of wonder. When she finished, the room erupted in gentle applause. And Lily? She laughed. She turned to the crowd, face lit with pride. That laugh shattered something inside Stephen. It had been so long since he heard it. So long since she smiled like that, freely, fully. As people mingled after the performances, Olivia found him standing alone, hands still trembling slightly. "You okay?" she asked softly. Stephen nodded. "That was the most beautiful thing I have seen in a long time. She is amazing," Olivia replied. "She is," Stephen echoed. "And so are you." She looked at him, surprised. "I mean it," he said. "You are helping her become someone I did not know she could be." A pause. "And maybe you are helping me, too." Olivia smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly. Outside, the night air was cool. Stephen watched Lily skip toward the car, still buzzing from the performance. For the first time, he wondered what else music and Olivia might unlock in their lives. The decision came to Stephen unexpectedly, quiet, instinctive. After Lily's performance at the bookstore, he could not stop thinking about how alive she looked on that small stage. Something had shifted, not only in her, but in him, too. So one morning, while reviewing quarterly forecasts at his office, he paused, opened a new tab, and searched for professional-grade digital keyboards. By the afternoon, Melody Makers had a surprise delivery. 3 brand-new keyboards, full pedal sets, and a donation letter signed by Stephen Walker. Olivia nearly dropped her coffee when she saw them. "He did what?" she asked the delivery man, holding the packing slip with trembling fingers. "There's a note," he said, pointing to an envelope taped to one of the boxes. She opened it slowly. In neat, businesslike handwriting, it read, "For the kids who dream with their fingers. Keep making music." Later that evening, Olivia called him. "You didn't have to do that," she said, voice still touched with disbelief. "I wanted to," Stephen replied. "The studio deserves better tools, and so do you." There was a pause on the line. "Thank you," she said softly. "That means more than you know." From that point on, their connection began to spill beyond the confines of the music room. On Thursday afternoons, they grabbed coffee at a small corner cafe after Lily's lessons. Their conversations, once casual, deepened. They talked about childhood. Hers spent reading library books alone on rainy weekends. His spent in structured silence under the weight of family expectations. Olivia spoke passionately about the importance of creative education, how music could change the trajectory of a child's emotional life. Stephen listened more than he spoke, but something in his eyes told her words mattered. One day, she brought him a book. "It's called Fathers and Daughters," she said, sliding the thin volume across the table. "It's not very long, just stories, essays, little moments." He looked at the cover, skeptical. "You don't have to read it all," she added, "but maybe you'll find something in it." That night, after putting Lily to bed, Stephen sat in the living room, untouched glass of whiskey by his side, and read the first page, then the second. By the time he looked up again, the sky had turned violet, and he had tears clinging to his lashes. The stories were simple but cut deep. Fathers who missed recitals, daughters who never asked for much, only time. The quiet yearning of 2 souls trying to meet in the middle. The next time they met, Stephen said quietly, "I read the whole thing." Olivia smiled. "And? I think I've been measuring fatherhood the wrong way." "You are doing better than you think," she replied. Stephen looked away, his voice soft. "Lily asked me about you." "Oh?" Olivia said, surprised. "She wanted to know if you like chocolate ice cream and why you smile so much when she plays." Olivia laughed. "Well, both answers are yes," Stephen chuckled. "She also asked if you're going to come over sometime to help her practice." A beat of silence. "I'd love to," Olivia said. So she did. It was a rainy Saturday when Olivia came to their apartment. Lily had dragged out all her sheet music, set up snacks, and even taped a paper sign on the door that read, "Welcome, Miss Olivia." They played for nearly an hour. Olivia sat beside Lily, their hands brushing as they adjusted fingering. They laughed at mistakes, celebrated tiny victories, and at one point even played a duet together. Stephen watched from the doorway, arms crossed, heart tight. Afterward, Lily went off to prepare hot cocoa, insisting she could handle it herself, like a big girl. Olivia moved to the living room, where the family's upright piano sat in the corner, quiet and dignified like an old friend. She sat down, fingers brushing the keys. "Do you play often?" Stephen asked, taking a seat beside her. "Not as much as I'd like." "Play something." She hesitated, then began, a soft, flowing melody that sounded like falling leaves and forgotten lullabies. Stephen closed his eyes for a moment, letting the music wrap around him. When she finished, the last note hovered in the air. Silence followed. They turned to each other. Their eyes met. It was not the kind of moment that required words. It was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet, deep, a pause suspended in the space between them. Neither leaned in, neither moved away, but in that gaze was something unspoken, recognition, connection, longing just beginning to bloom. Then Lily's voice called from the kitchen, shattering the silence. "Miss Olivia, I put too much cocoa powder, help!" Olivia smiled, standing. "On my way." She disappeared down the hall, laughter trailing behind her. Stephen remained on the piano bench, fingers resting where hers had just been. He stared at the keys, the fading echoes of her melody still whispering through the room. He was a man used to clear decisions, sharp lines, controlled outcomes. But this was something else. And for the first time in a long time, he did not feel like running from it. The balance Stephen had so carefully constructed began to crumble. It started with a failed product launch. A glitch in the new software caused a wave of user complaints. Then came the internal review, followed by heated boardroom meetings and furious calls from investors. Everyone wanted someone to blame, and as the CEO, Stephen was the easiest target. Deadlines tightened, expectations piled up, and like a vice closing in, the pressure left him breathless. He missed one of Lily's Tuesday lessons, then another, and another. At first he sent texts. "Caught in a meeting, running late. Tell Lily I'll make it up to her." But eventually the texts stopped too. Olivia noticed it first in Lily's playing. The spark that had made her fingertips dance over the keys began to dull. She became quieter during lessons, sometimes looking over her shoulder as if still hoping her father would walk in through the door, smiling with his usual quiet pride. One afternoon, Olivia crouched beside her after a clumsy run-through of a new song. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. Lily shrugged. "Dad's busy." "Too busy to listen to your music?" Lily's eyes flickered. "He says he'll come next week." But next week came, and Stephen didn't. By the third week, Olivia's worry turned to frustration. She sent him a message, not about scheduling or logistics, but from the heart. "Lily's playing is suffering. I think she needs you more than you realize." No reply, not even a read receipt. Then came that Thursday. It had started pouring by the time the class ended. Olivia, noticing Lily didn't have her usual umbrella, offered to drive her home. Lily accepted with a grateful nod, her small frame bundled in a raincoat, violin case tucked under one arm. The building loomed in silence as they arrived. Olivia parked by the curb and walked Lily to the front door. Just as she was about to ring the bell, the door opened from the inside. Stephen stood there, tie loosened, hair tousled, phone pressed to his ear. His voice was raised, sharp and cold. "I don't care what the projections say. Pull the funding now or I walk," he barked. "You think I'm going to take the fall again? Not this time." He turned, and his eyes widened slightly when he saw Olivia and Lily standing in the rain. "Lily, go change your clothes," he said quickly, trying to soften his tone. "You'll catch a cold." She nodded and slipped past him, her shoes squeaking on the floor. Stephen stepped outside, shutting the door gently behind him. He exhaled and opened his mouth to speak, but Olivia beat him to it. "I've been trying to reach you," she said, voice low but charged. "I know," Stephen replied, pinching the bridge of his nose. "I've been busy," she finished for him. "I get it. You're a CEO. The world doesn't wait for your calendar." His jaw tightened. "It's not just business. There's a lot happening right now. And while it's happening, your daughter is shrinking," Olivia said sharply. She used to laugh when she played, now she barely touches the keys. Do you even know that? She told me she was fine, he said defensively. She's 10, Stephen. She says she's fine because she doesn't want to be one more thing for you to fix. He looked away, the rain catching on his lashes. I'm doing the best I can. She doesn't need the best, Olivia said, voice trembling now. She needs you, even if it's messy, even if you're tired, even if you're late. She just wants her father in the room. Stephen's voice rose slightly. Do you think I don't know that? That I don't lay awake wondering if I'm failing her? I think you're so busy being afraid of failing that you're not even showing up. That hit him like a slap. They stood in the rain, two people on different sides of a storm, thunder cracking somewhere beyond the skyline. I'm not her mother, Olivia said quietly, but I care. I care enough to say this even if it means you hate me for it. I don't hate you, he said, equally soft now. Then be better. He didn't reply. Instead, he stepped back and opened the door. Rainwater pooled at Olivia's feet as he disappeared inside. The door clicked shut behind him. She stood there for another long moment, heart pounding, breath ragged. Then she turned and walked slowly back to her car, the piano melodies of the past few weeks echoing in her ears, each one a little fainter than before. A week passed, no calls, no messages, no visits. Lily sat at the piano every afternoon, staring at the keys. Her hands, once so eager, now rested silently in her lap. The once joyful music room felt hollow. Stephen noticed it right away. Each morning he opened her door, hoping to hear a melody, but all he heard was silence, the quiet creak of the bench, the soft click of the lid being closed. She never asked about Olivia, but he saw it in her eyes, the waiting, the wondering. He tried, making breakfast, helping with homework, even offering to play piano games despite barely knowing a note, but nothing sparked her the way Olivia's presence had. Then one afternoon, while cleaning, he found a folded sheet of music stuck between the couch cushions. It was smudged with a tiny chocolate stain. At the top, in neat handwriting, were the words, "For Lily, who reminds us how to feel." Stephen stared at the message. That night, long after Lily was asleep, he sat at the kitchen table with that sheet music and a blank page. No emails, no voice dictations. Just pen and paper and the words he had never said. The next morning he told Lily gently, "Let's go to the center. You don't have to play if you don't want to." She nodded quietly. When they arrived, melody makers felt different. Olivia's usual spot behind the desk was empty. The receptionist offered a polite smile. "Miss Harper is on leave for a few days," she said. Stephen's heart sank, but he kept it hidden. Lily's substitute teacher guided her to the piano. She sat, fingers barely brushing the keys. After class, Stephen returned to the front desk. He placed a sealed envelope and Lily's first sheet music, carefully preserved with Olivia's glittery notes on the counter. "Please make sure Miss Harper receives this." "I will," the receptionist said kindly. That evening, Olivia sat wrapped in a blanket on her small balcony, a forgotten cup of tea beside her. The city buzzed below. When the doorbell rang, she opened it to find a small bag with her name on it. Inside, Lily's sheet music and a letter. Stephen's handwriting was firm, but the words wavered. "Olivia, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't even know if I deserve for you to. The last few weeks have been chaos, and I let it consume me. I became someone I promised I wouldn't. Distracted, disconnected, drowning in pressure. You once told me music wasn't about perfection, it was about presence. I forgot that. You didn't just teach Lily how to play, you gave her joy, you gave her laughter, you gave her back her light. And you gave me something too. I thought you were a detour, a mistake in my tightly controlled world. But then I saw Lily smile again. I saw how you filled the quiet places in her life, and mine. I didn't realize how badly I needed that light until it was gone. I'm sorry for letting the noise of my life drown out your music. I'm sorry for being the father Lily could not count on. And I'm sorry for not saying this sooner. You taught Lily music, but you taught me how to love." Steve and Olivia sat for a long time, the letter trembling in her hands. Tears slid silently down her cheeks, falling onto the words that had come too late, and yet somehow right on time. She looked down at the old sheet music and smiled, because somewhere between the scribbles and smudges, between every messy note and quiet space, she heard something again. Hope. Olivia stood at the entrance of Melody Makers, the familiar scent of wood polish and old sheet music wrapping around her. Just as she reached for the door, it opened. Stephen stood there, holding a worn guitar case, his eyes filled with something raw. "Olivia," he said softly, "I owe you, and Lily, an apology." "Stephen, you don't have to." "Please," he said, "let me say this." A few students nearby turned to watch as he stepped inside and addressed the room. "I've let fear and pressure come between me and the people I love most. I do not want to be the discord in my daughter's melody, and I do not want to lose you, Olivia." The silence that followed felt sacred. Olivia's chest tightened. She nodded slowly, a small smile forming. Apology accepted. A breath of relief moved through the studio. Later that week, as they watched Lily practice, Olivia nudged Stephen. "There's a family recital coming up. Parents can perform with their kids." He raised an eyebrow. "You mean me? I haven't played guitar in forever." "It's never too late," she grinned, "and Lily would love it." Lily's eyes lit up. "Really, Dad, can we?" Stephen smiled. "Only if Olivia sings with us." "Deal," she replied. In the weeks that followed, Stephen's home filled with music. Olivia coached Lily through delicate passages, while Stephen relearned chords, his fingers slowly remembering. Their rehearsals became evening rituals filled with laughter, missed notes, take-out dinners, and growing closeness. One evening, as the sun bathed the room in gold, Olivia suggested, "What about Moon River?" "I like it," Stephen said. "Lily?" "I love it." As they practiced, the song came to life. Olivia's voice was soft but rich. Stephen's guitar steady and warm. Lily's piano innocent and emotional. Together, their harmony was more than musical. It was a reflection of their journey, of brokenness stitched back with love. The night of the recital arrived. The community center buzzed with chatter and tuning instruments. Stephen felt nerves in his chest, but one look at Olivia and Lily calmed him. As they stepped on stage, the room quieted. Stephen adjusted the microphone. "This song means a lot to us. It's about finding your way, about connection, and the melodies that bind hearts together." They began. Olivia sang with quiet emotion, Stephen's guitar filling the room with warmth, and Lily's piano adding magic. As the final chord faded, the room held its breath, then erupted into applause. Backstage, Stephen turned to Olivia. "Thank you for bringing music back to Lily's life, and to mine." She squeezed his hand. "Music heals, and I think it brought us here for a reason." Lily jumped in. "Can we do it again? Maybe even write our own song?" Stephen laughed. "I think that's a brilliant idea." As they stepped into the cool evening air, Stephen felt a peace he hadn't known in years. Challenges would come, but with Olivia and Lily beside him, the song of their life would always find its harmony. A year had passed, each day unfolding like a new movement in a symphony. Stephen and Olivia stood together at the front of a sunlit music hall, surrounded by family, friends, students, and colleagues who had become part of their journey. The hall wasn't extravagant, but it was perfect, lined with soft velvet chairs, golden light streaming through stained glass windows, and a baby grand piano waiting in the center. Lily stood beside them, dressed in a pale yellow dress, her hands resting on the piano keys. Her hair was done in gentle curls, and her face beamed with quiet pride. The guests hushed as she began to play a soft melody, an original composition she had written just for this day. When the final note faded, Lily turned to Olivia with bright, tear-filled eyes and said clearly into the microphone, "I've waited a long time to say this. I love you, Mom." A wave of emotion swept through the room. Olivia knelt, arms wide, and Lily ran into her embrace. Stephen joined them, wrapping them both in his arms. Later that evening, amid gentle music and warm candlelight, Stephen raised his glass. "This is not just a celebration of love," he said, voice steady and full. "It's a celebration of healing, of hope, and of second chances." Shortly after the wedding, Stephen and Olivia launched the Harmony Hearts Scholarship, an initiative to provide musical education to underprivileged children. With support from the Walker Foundation and the local community, they opened music programs in 3 schools within the first 6 months. The scholarship became a place where kids like Olivia once was could find their voice, and where kids like Lily could teach others to feel. But the real music always lived at home. On quiet Sunday afternoons, the living room came alive with laughter and song. Olivia would hum melodies while preparing tea, Stephen strummed soft chords on his guitar, and Lily would run to the piano, declaring, "Let's make something new today." Together they played, sometimes clumsy, sometimes off-key, but always together. In those moments, it did not matter if the notes were perfect. What mattered was the harmony between their hearts. The kind built not on sheet music but on love, forgiveness, and the courage to keep playing even after a missed beat. As the sun set one evening, golden light spilling across the piano, Olivia looked over at Stephen and Lily. They were laughing, playfully arguing over who had gone off-tempo. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sound of their laughter and music fill her like air. This was their song now, and they would play it for the rest of their lives. Thank you for joining us on this tender, music-filled journey of love, healing, and second chances. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the most unexpected moments can lead to the most beautiful harmonies, then we invite you to stay with us. There are countless more soul-stirring stories waiting to be told, tales of resilience, kindness, family, and the quiet power of love. Subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that could warm your heart or bring a tear to your eye. Because here, we do not just tell stories, we touch souls. See you in the next one.